Good morning once again here on Facebook Live. I'm WFIN News Director Doug Jenkins reporting from the I-75 southbound rest area just south of Findlay and about the issue we've got going on I-75 and have had going on I-75 since about 1 this morning. I wanted to get a look at what's going on, and if you look behind me right now, you can see that there's a lot of semis in that general area just parked on the northbound side of the interstate. And the reason for that is they can't get by any further than where we're located right now at the rest areas in the northbound lanes because there's an emergency pavement project going on there. That's right in the area where there was a fatal crash reported early this morning. We understand that there were 4 cars involved in that crash. So that is going to take a little bit of time. In fact, I'll turn the view here a little bit. It gets a little bit crooked. We'll see if you can see all the southbound traffic, but then a little bit further behind me, if we look in that general area, we're looking at about a dozen ODOT trucks that have been pulled over there and have been working on this area for the last hour or so. Now we'll pull it back this way so I can see the screen a little bit better. We're going to try this again. We've been trying these split screen interviews on Facebook Live. Matt Bruning with ODOT in Columbus is going to try and join us. I apologize if this drops. It's because the app sometimes likes to crash when we try and do this, but let's maybe see if we can. That looks like this is going to work. He'll tell us a little bit about what we're seeing in this area and maybe what the timeline could look like when it comes to add or fixing the roadway. Right now, as it comes, Matt, thank you for joining us. I don't know if you can hear me okay.
I got you just fine, sir.
All right, and I can hear you just fine as well. Matt, I know you're in Columbus, but certainly keeping tabs on what's happening here south of Findlay. What can you tell us is the latest on the repair work on the highway here?
Well, the latest is obviously this roadway has been shut down for quite some time. Sounds like they're going to have some pavement repairs that need to be made from the crash. They're still assessing that to see exactly what those pavement repairs will entail, how long that will take. So in the meantime, we're still telling people to detour, try to avoid the area. 235 to 310 is the official signed detour, but I understand traffic's pretty heavy on those 2 routes as to be expected. And like I said, if you can avoid the area at all costs, that's probably the best thing to do right now.
And we've been looking at our Waze traffic map all morning, and we're starting to see a buildup of traffic on the west side of Findlay on State Route 12. So trying to suggest people go even as far north to US 224 and then head back over. And that might be the better way around this if you start to experience some congestion.
Absolutely. I mean, any way that you can get around it is going to be the best thing to do. Any way you can avoid the area. You know, if you're driving from Dayton to Detroit and you can find another route to go, probably a good thing to do.
Matt, one of the things, and you've seen this around the state, when there's an emergency repair needed on an interstate, ODOT particularly good at getting that done. You can think back to that giant boulder that fell down on an interstate down in, I think, southeastern Ohio about a year or so ago. What does it entail to get a turnaround process, to get a crew there quickly and be able to assess the situation and then get it back in operation?
The big thing is to have good cooperation with contractors, which we do. We have great partnerships all over the state. And so we'll get a contractor typically unless the repairs can be made by our own forces. But if they have to do an emergency contract, we can get that done. And yeah, I mean, the example of those boulders that have fallen in the past on US 52 down in Lawrence County, we were able to quickly get a crew in there with an excavator and try to bust those up. So usually we have a plan in place to deal with those kinds of things, again, without knowing exactly how extensive the damage is on 75. In this case, hard to say what will need to be done. A lot of times ODOT can do the repairs ourselves, and if we can do that, then it's much quicker. But we do have plans and do have contractors on standby that can make quick repairs, or at least as quickly as we can, and the key is to be as safely as we can. We want to do it right.
Matt, has ODOT been informed of any of the specifics of this particular crash? We understand a semi was involved, possibly a semi-fire, maybe 3 other vehicles. We know 1 fatality involved, but I don't know if ODOT's perhaps heard anything more on that.
No, the Ohio State Highway Patrol, I understand, is doing the investigation. So we'll be working with law enforcement and the first responders when they release that scene, get everything cleaned up, and tell us it's now safe for us to go in and do the repairs, that's when we'll get started. But I don't have any other details on the crash other than I do know there were some commercial vehicles involved, and I do know that there's been some damage to our roadway. But outside of that, that's about the limit of my information.
All right, Matt, I understand you're quite busy this morning. I appreciate you taking some time out of your morning to talk with us here on Facebook Live, and we'll check back in with you. I understand Rhonda Pease and Kurt Slesher from ODOT District 1 also en route to the area as well.
Yeah, and I think Rhonda and Nick Buchanan, our folks from our Public Information Office in District 1, I think they're going to try to do a Facebook Live when they get to the scene to kind of give you a better view of what the damage looks like. So if you're following on Facebook, good idea to also like the ODOT Northwest Ohio District 1 page, if you can look that up, and then like that. And then, of course, once we get some of the additional information, we'll be able to share it there and here with you on WFIN.
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate you again your time, Matt, and we'll talk to you later.
Sounds good, Doug. Happy to join you.
All right. So we appreciate Matt joining us here and that element working. Again, we'll try and get you a look here. It's a little bit, I've got a bit of a glare on my iPad when I turn it back this way. But when we start to look back this direction, as I was coming south down I-75, again, about, I would say close to a dozen ODOT vehicles that were in that area and starting the work. So I don't know if it's a contractor, an emergency contractor situation like Matt had just talked about, or if ODOT's going to try and handle this themselves. We'll maybe get more information from Rhonda Pease and her staff as this situation attempts to resolve itself. So again, we are looking at a lengthy delay on 75, or at least a lengthy amount of time before they open this stretch back up. Now the good news is you can see some cars coming in southbound in here to the rest area. You can see southbound traffic is moving along just fine. It's when you start to look down towards the south to traffic coming back to the north, you'll notice there's hardly anything coming except for official ODOT vehicles. And again, you can see the semis stopped across the way at the rest area on the northbound side. They're not going to be going anywhere for quite some time. It does look like they've got most of the backup, though, that had been here off of this part of the interstate. So you have to go even further south down to 235. That's where you're going to see a backup getting onto I-75, especially if you're coming up northbound. You try and get off there and then go over. Some people coming up 313. Again, when I was coming down here, I did drive on 313 a little bit. Didn't see a whole lot of traffic coming towards Findlay, so that might be an option. But again, you're going to see intermittent backups there. A lot of people heading up all the way to 12. When you take 12 east to Findlay, you are going to run into some traffic on the west side of the city. We would suggest, and our Waze traffic map backing this up, is taking 235 once you get past Benton Ridge, take 235 north to 224, then back east to Findlay, and you can pick things up there. So that will certainly help things in terms of getting around, but again, it's going to be a mess for a little while, especially in terms of just getting off the interstate. That's probably where your biggest backups are going to be for the moment. All right, with that said, I'm actually going to head further south. I'm running on about maybe 8 miles left on my tank of gas, so I've got to head to Bluffton, and I'll see what I can see down there. Might provide you with another Facebook update once I get that going. If you have questions about this, again, to put them on the Facebook page, I'll get back to them as soon as I fill up with gas here, hopefully in about 10 minutes. Or if I'm stuck along the interstate on the southbound side, maybe pull over and help me out a little bit. We'll see what I'm doing on the gas. Mandy Levesque saying 313 is blocked off at 235, so they're not letting anybody go to Findlay on 313. That would make sense on why we're not seeing a ton of traffic going up 313. It's just not handled for this type of traffic that they're going to be routing there, so they're going to be sending people up to 12 and then over. Again, we've been issuing a word of caution when you go through Benton Ridge. Do remember to slow down because, again, two reasons. One, it is a slower speed limit through town, but also there's that S-curve and kind of a hairpin turn on the east side of the village, and if that sneaks up on you, you could be in a bit of a problem there. So you do want to make sure you watch your speed as you go through Benton Ridge and then head back toward Findlay. All right, I'll step off of Facebook for now. Do appreciate you joining us here on our live feed. We'll continue to keep you up to date on the situation with I-75 northbound and the crash that led to a lengthy backup as the day goes on. I'm Doug Jenkins reporting for 1330 WFIN.